I tell people the same thing about debt that I tell them about how I lost weight. I didn't put it on overnight, so why would I expect it to come off overnight? It takes time. But by focusing on the process instead of the outcome, you will get there. Hi, I'm Jessica, and I used to live on Easy Street. I had nice things, and I ate and drank whatever I wanted. But the truth was, I lived paycheck to paycheck at a job I hated. Eating and drinking whatever I wanted made me fat and miserable. I had constant heartburn and hangovers, and I was drowning in debt. Today, I'm fit and happy, and I want the same thing for you. Because it turns out that Easy Street is a dead end. The only way to become your best self is to take the path of most resistance. If, like me, you grew up without any actual education about money, you may have found yourself at some point living paycheck to paycheck with a ton of debt and no real savings to speak of. Maybe when you found yourself there, you went down the financial rabbit hole, learning everything you could to get solid ground under your feet again. As you were learning how to fix your finances, you probably ran into some of the same newbie advice repeatedly. Create a budget, track your spending, find out where you are so you can figure out where to go from there. When I advise people on how to fix their money problems, I always tell them to find a budget app and get it hooked up to their bank feeds. YNAB is a personal favorite of mine, but you do you. You don't have to do anything else at first, just let the data start streaming into your app. Let it flow for a full month. Most people pay bills on a monthly basis, so usually a month is enough time to capture the majority of your recurring expenses. After a month, we schedule some time to sit down and go through the data, categorizing it into buckets. Once you can see your buckets, it becomes easier to determine the best way to fix your problem. You know, why are you always broke? Is it because you spend more money on eating out than rent every month? Or is it because you have 20 different subscription services that you forgot about? Or maybe you actually live pretty frugally and the problem isn't your spending, it's your income. So now the question is how to increase your income. You get the idea. Start first by tracking, then examining the data. By the way, I found that most people can't wait the full month to start categorizing. That's okay too. The point is not to stress about it. I tell people the same thing about debt that I tell them about how I lost weight. I didn't put it on overnight, so why would I expect it to come off overnight? It takes time. But by focusing on the process instead of the outcome, you will get there. For you, though, maybe the problem isn't your finances, it's your productivity. You know you could be getting more done, but you don't have enough hours in the day, at least it seems that way. The same rule applies here. Start first by tracking, then examining the data. When it comes to productivity, the path to righteousness is almost the same as fixing your finances. Create and follow a budget equals create and follow a calendar. Track your spending equals track your time. Get yourself a time tracker. There's a ton of them out there. Don't spend too much time picking one out. They all do the same thing. You could even use a stopwatch, a pen, and some scratch paper when it comes down to it. Old school still works. The hardest part of time tracking is remembering to start the timer, and you'll probably forget to do it more than once. But like any new habit, if you stick with it, it sticks to you. So keep trying, you'll get better at it. Okay, before you even start that though, take a look at the built-in time tracker on your phone, iOS Screen Time or Android Digital Wellbeing. If you're spending hours a day on social media, I'd start by getting rid of that first. That's the low-hanging fruit here. For a deeper dive into this idea, read Cal Newport's Digital Minimalism. So you've gotten off your phone and you've started tracking your time. You're starting to see patterns in how you spend your days, and you realize that the reason you're not making as much progress as you'd like is because your time is filled with fulfilling other people's needs instead of your own. Maybe you start the time tracker on a project, and then a ping from an email notification pulls you into something else. The University of California, Irvine crafted a study whose results showed that an interruption can cause havoc on your train of thought. Not all interruptions are equal, but when you receive an email notification about a hard problem that has nothing to do with the hard problem you're currently focusing on, well, that really hurts your focus. The study lead, Gloria Mark, reported that it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back to the task. 23 minutes! That's a whole episode of a show, minus the commercials. You have the ability to tell an entire story in the amount of time it takes you to regain your focus. When I began my experimentation with how to get more work done, let me tell you, email notifications were one of the first things to get thrown out. Getting back to you, though, no matter what data your time tracker shows you, there's probably going to be a consistent thread. You're not managing your time very efficiently. Luckily, someone already came up with a way to help you figure out what you should be focusing on. Stephen Covey, in his popular book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, created a time management matrix system based on a famous quote by American President Dwight Eisenhower. His quote was, "I have 2 kinds of problems, the urgent and the important. The urgent are not important, and the important are never urgent." Let me walk you through a simple version of Covey's Eisenhower matrix that will help you decide what to do in any given situation. Imagine a grid, a 4x4 square. Across the top, we've got urgent and not urgent, and on the left, we've got important versus not important. When you receive a request and you're not sure what to do, run it through this matrix to determine your action. Quadrant 1 is for things that are both urgent and important. You should handle those things immediately. Starbucks being out of soy milk does not qualify. Medical emergencies do. Quadrant 2 is for things that are important but not urgent. Try and spend a good bit of time here. This is where you'll do the hard stuff that brings you closer to being the best version of yourself. It's important but not urgent because there is no time limit for making positive change in your life. Just keep at it and work on improving 1% every day, like James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits. Quadrant 3 is urgent but not important. This is a tough one because a lot of work we do seems to belong in the first quadrant, urgent and important. At least other people tell you it is. But Jim Rohn says, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. When other people demand your time, it may be urgent for them, but it's really not important to you. Avoid this area and delegate those tasks to someone else if that's an option. Finally, quadrant 4 is where things that are neither important or urgent live. Most people spend a lot of time there. And why wouldn't we? It's so much easier to flop on the couch and watch Netflix or play video games than it is to do the hard work that can make our lives better. But you do have something to offer the world, and when you waste time instead, well, it's like Cal Newport said, how much genius are we losing to the compulsive need to scroll just a little bit more? Just like getting your finances in order, learning to manage your time better will lead to an improved way of life. Before you take action on anything, ask yourself, is this important? Is this urgent? Then act accordingly. You may, or may not, be surprised to find out you're not spending your time as effectively as you could be. But don't beat yourself up over it. Yesterday is done and gone, but there's nothing stopping you from trying again today. You can do it. I believe in you. Peace. Join the Path of Most Resistance as a paid subscriber on Substack. This option will get you access to the community chat, along with a link to join the weekly challenge check-in calls, where I help you figure out how to get through the challenges you're facing in your own life. Want to push yourself even harder? I also do one-on-one coaching. Click the link in the show notes to book your free discovery call with me. Thanks for listening. And if you're enjoying the show, please share it with anyone else you think is up for a challenge.